Good evening and welcome to the regular scheduled Rossmoor Community Services District Board meeting. This night is December 11th, 2012. Ms. Steering, would you like to administer the roll call?
Yes. Director Casey?
Here.
Director Kaler?
Here.
Director Maynard?
Here.
Director Rips?
Here.
President Coletta?
Here. Would you please join us as we pledge allegiance to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll roll right into our presentations. Our first one this evening is with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Lieutenant Gonzalez, would you like to approach and make your presentation?
Thank you. October, as you know, was a busy month for us. We had the major incident, which garnered a lot of attention with the female victim of the stabbing. I've had a couple follow-up questions, specifically one from the media that asked if the victim had seen or the suspect creating any crimes, and maybe that's what caused the attack. We don't have any follow-up that indicates that. I did speak to the investigator today if there's any other information that I could present on that case, and he said that speaking to the suspect, they were able to uncover that he and his group of friends were responsible for a lot of vehicle burglaries and residential burglaries in the neighborhood. So not all, but they were responsible for a portion of the residential burglaries that we were having. And if you look at the crime stats, October up until that date is still pretty active. We had 8 residential burglaries, 3 vehicle burglaries, and since that time it's dropped off quite a bit. Again, hasn't stopped, but it has dropped off quite a bit. I was going to go over response times, but at the community meeting, Mr. Maynard and I talked about since didn't think a need to respond to those because it creates a false sense and gives criminals a idea how long it takes us to get here. So, with your permission, I'll skip that part. One of the other big items I wanted to talk about wasn't necessarily October. It was just a few weeks ago with the acid bombs that were left in the front yard of the resident. There's been several questions and a lot of debate back and forth whether that incident would be considered a hate crime. I just want to touch on that for a minute. It's not ruled out, though we don't have a suspect information. What would indicate a hate crime would be a calling card, let's say a swastika or something of that nature. Wasn't anything of that nature, so we didn't immediately identify it as a hate crime, and without a suspect in custody and an interview taking place, we can't immediately determine it that. That being said, it's not completely ruled out. So there's been a lot of questions of whether that was a hate crime or not. Right now it's undetermined. And talked to the investigator today, and they're still following leads on that, including leads that we're getting on internet and things like that. Another topic that was emailed to me was whether that the sheriff was offering any kind of reward for any lead of any suspect in that crime. We don't, as a department, offer rewards, but there is an organization that was OC Crime Stoppers that is administered through the EOC for Orange County that does take care of things like that. And my understanding is they're involved in this acid bombing case. So just for the record, I wanted to give you the phone number and the website for OC Crime Stoppers. The telephone number is 1-855-TIP-OCCS, and the email or the website is www.occrimestoppers.org. And my understanding is they are compiling some sort of reward for the apprehension of this subject. So, anybody have any questions for me?
I have a question relating to the incident with the acid bombs. I've been reading that you suspect, not you per se, but that it might be juvenile related, a juvenile related crime, and I'm wondering why, if that's correct, that conclusion is being drawn,
That, and
or supposition.
I'm going to speculate for just 1 second on how that was derived, is that last weekend, as some of you may or may not know, a off-duty Long Beach officer caught some kids in Rush Park, what he suspected were making some sort of bomb material. Through the definition of bomb, it really wasn't. What it was is they were creating their airsoft enthusiasts. I spoke to the bomb squad investigator who came out here yesterday, or who responded to the call. I spoke to him yesterday. He said they're 14-age kids who are airsoft enthusiasts, and what they were doing is they went on the internet and researched how to make smoke. It wasn't even a bomb. It's more of a diversion for their gaming out here in the park. So they mix, stump remover and some other household items, and it creates smoke. And that's the reason for that.
Chemists.
So they were trying to tie, and in fact, our bomb squad investigator went to the boy's house and looked on the internet as where they researched this and all. So there was absolutely no connection between the two, but there was some supposition that these 14-year-old juvenile boys may have been, because of the proximity, involved in both, but it had nothing to do, according to our bomb squad investigators, had nothing to do with the other one. So that, but everything else beyond that, since we don't have a suspect or a lead on that.
Right, still open.
Correct.
Thank
There's
you.
similar cases like that around?
The only one that I know of was, I think it was in the 80s. I wasn't able to research it so far back that they were, it was more of a hate crime, not an acid bomb or that type of incident here. So it's not something that's commonly, done here, and it does seem kind of like a,
There was something I read that there was maybe something about Los Alamitos and Seal Beach, other incidences that was just a...
well, talking to the bomb squad, and ours is the only bomb squad in the county, they weren't aware of anything in the area, and they do cover Seal Beach and Los Al. So at least the investigator I spoke to said they had nothing. So seemed more of a random type of act. But again, hopefully by my next presentation, we'll know more and maybe have someone in custody and be able to tie this thing together. So. Any other question? Also, Mr. Kaler, I was looking at your request last time I was here was be able to look back into crime stats historically. I think we can go back to about 2000, very hand searching and things like that. That's going on. I just want to let you know I didn't forget about that. So, because it's prior to our current CAD system, is something we have to hand search. So, that is going on. Yes, sir.
Thank you for preparing this. In the past, you've had a little legend next to the offenses for the non-police here. Can you please bring that back?
Yeah, for what the crimes are and what, yes.
So we know
absolutely.
the difference between a 47, a 488, or a 594.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't create that, but I will make sure that the crime analysis group adds that back in. No problem.
Yeah, it looks like you're getting a lot more sophisticated software to put together all these pie charts and different graphs that you're nice enough to supply us with.
I don't know anything about computers, so I have to ask someone to do that.
So you just,
yeah, it's...
just report on them, you don't generate them.
Exactly. I don't
Right,
generate them. I do go through and I can look at the things and for instance, with the response times and even some of the crime map data, if I look at a specific call, it's not always what it appears on here. So, yeah, it does come out on the chart, but it's not 100% accurate because whatever you feed into it through dispatch is what it's statted as, and it doesn't always end up that way at the end result. So.
Oh, my.
What are you doing about Tuesdays?
What am I doing about Tuesdays? reference what?
Well, in your report here, it says that Tuesdays are clearly a spike in activity.
When we were having a lot of residential burglaries, we had it narrowed down to Tuesday afternoons. And I don't know if anybody here has seen, we talked about last session, I put 2 undercover guys on bicycles out here. I was out here on one Tuesday, we had, I think, 16 investigators all in plain wrap cars. In basically the bottom third, this part of Rossmoor, because we determined through our crime maps, that's where a lot of the residential burglaries were happening. The day we were out here, nothing happened. And I've had the bikes out here 3 times total. Still, that's based on what Investigator Ferrante was talking about with this group of hoodlums, for lack of a better term. They live so close, and they know the ways in and out, and boom, they're done in 3 minutes in a house, and we'd have to be very lucky to find them. But we did narrow it down to Tuesday between, I think, 9 and 1 was the time frame we narrowed it down to. and we did come out on specific enforcement days, and unfortunately came up empty. But we are still tracking burglaries and things, but it doesn't seem to be hitting like it was. Anything else?
Lieutenant, we haven't seen the end of the fourth quarter, is that correct?
Correct.
Yet when we look at the survey you provide on page 8 of 64, which basically is your October 2012 crime data chart for residential burglaries, including attempts for residential burglaries, we're up to 42.
On which page are we looking at, Mr. Coletta?
That would be their number at the bottom for us, probably not for you.
Second page.
But it's your second page.
It says October 12th on the top, and it shows the 2011 stats and 2012 stats for totals, 147 and 172?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and if you refer to the first page, it seems October we spiked, and last year in October we also spiked with 3 more total crimes than we had this year, and then November and December dropped. So, you know,
Nonetheless, I fear that we're going to be well into the mid-40s by the time the end of the year is upon us, and will be an aberration for us.
in the mid-40s as far as,
Residential burglaries.
total of burglaries. Well, like I said, the mini crime wave we had, and I don't want to you know, take away from what was going on, but it has seemed to subside. So I talked to Joe Franti today, and he's not getting nearly the amount he got in the third quarter. So, I mean, beyond hoping, we're still trending the numbers and the crimes and things like that, but, you know, if he can, I don't know how many burglaries he's able to tie to the one suspect, but between he and his friends, he is trying to tie up those loose ends and solve some of these things. But again, my goal is to have the numbers farther down than last year's for sure. So, and then start out the new year, you know, January, February, we were high too, and then it kind of tailed off throughout the year and then spiked again in October. So, and like I spoke at the community meeting, I think it's crime happens in places. It's a matter of how we respond to it. And, you know, I think we have put a good response out, and I'll continue to do that. It's just a matter of trying to put people in custody, and then you got the next group of people coming in. So we'll just stay on top of it.
All right, Lieutenant, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we move to Mr. Tabaoda, the certification 4B.
Mr. President, members of the board, I wish to congratulate 3 board members, Director Michael Maynard, Director Ron Casey, and Director Jeffrey T. Rips, for their reappointment to the Board of Directors without election. And I have certificates from the Registrar of Voters of Orange County to present to the 3 directors. And it's what you receive when you are reappointed by the Board of Directors, because there was no election, because the 3 of you as candidates to the open seats were unopposed. In my 50-some years of public service, I've got to tell you that it is almost an anomaly for 3 vacant seats to be appointed in this manner. Practically every jurisdiction in Orange County, even the smallest ones that had vacant seats that were open for election, had an election. By not having an election, the district saved almost $11,000 in election costs, which I think is commendable. And so I offer my congratulations, and I'm just going to walk up and present each of you that were appointed in lieu of election with your certificates.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Congratulations to the three of you. I think it speaks loudly that the district must be doing something good, at least with regards to you three, so congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to ask this board if they would entertain a motion to move item 4C to the end of the meeting. Would anyone make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion carries. So we'll skip 4C till a little later. We have no additions this evening, but now we'll jump to public forum. And that's where the opportunity of the residents of Rossmoor can address this board concerning matters we have jurisdiction over, but do take notice that if it's not agendized and given public notice, we cannot comment or take any action, but refer to it later if it is deemed inappropriate to direct the manager to address it another time. If you do wish to address the board, give us your first and last name. I believe at the podium there's a piece of paper for you to also write your first and last name,
Yes.
so that if we don't hear you enunciate clearly, we'll at least hopefully be able to capture it in writing.
Come on up.
Please, sir.
Why not?
Thank you. First name Joel, last name Block, B-L-O-C-K. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I won't ask what the time limit is because I'll be brief.
A couple months.
I'm very much concerned about what the lieutenant was reporting on a few minutes earlier. I used Rush Park. I walked by the scene of the crime where the acid bombs were left. Whether it turns out, whatever the motive was, and the motive will determine whether it's viewed as a hate crime or a crime. It was a serious crime, and I think all the quotes in the reports I've seen indicated that it's viewed by the Sheriff's Department as a serious crime. Couple questions. I'm not the only one, by the way, I don't know if you've gotten any communications, but my friends in the neighborhood, at least around Rush Park, are very concerned about this. If it's kids, we're still concerned because we're concerned both as parents. I have 18-year-old sons, twins at the high school. We're concerned both in terms of what's happening to kids if that's what they're doing. I did an online search. Apparently there's lots of acid bomb incidents over the last 4 years in Orange County and San Diego County. They're not just here. So it is a concern. I don't know why it's taken on an interest, but apparently it has. One thing I would ask, I think whatever the reason or whatever the nature of the crime, I think it's nice if the Community Services District could extend some kind of communication to the victim. And I would say this in any crime, that generally someone says, I'm from the RCSD, we've received information from law enforcement that an incident, a criminal incident took place. We just want to express our concerns, let you know that we're a community that that's concerned about crime in general. So I don't know if anybody's extended any communication to the victim or victims in this case, but that would be nice if that occurred. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Block.
you.
Michelle Fieldson, Pemberton Road. I just wanted to, in reference to the indication that there had been other acid bombs in the area, that came from Kent McBride, OCSD bomb squad investigator, was mentioned in a few different articles. But the reason I'm standing here basically is I just wanted to thank the board for the time and effort that you put into this community. I probably butt heads with you as often as I agree with you, but that's not really the point. Basically what you do is volunteer. You don't really get paid really much of anything. And it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. I don't think people have any idea how much time each board member puts in. And I know just from my experience with the board, with the RHA board, We as human beings are much quicker to criticize than to offer our thanks. I'm as guilty as the next person, but I did just want to thank everyone here for the time that you give to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else coming forward, then we'll close the public forum. We have no reports to the board. Now we move to the consent calendar, and the board members do have an opportunity to remove one or all of the matters part of the consent calendar if you would like to discuss it. Seeing none? Okay.
Nothing.
All right, then all in favor of the consent calendar items E1 and E2 as submitted, and all subparts, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No one opposing? So the consent calendar is approved. Now we go to public hearing, none, and now we don't have one. We'll jump to G, which is a resolution. Mr. Tabaoda, would you like to address that?
Mr. President, members of the board, before you is resolution number 12-12-1101, which is a rejection of a government claim. What you have before you is a claim that was submitted by an individual regarding a damage caused by a parkway tree to an individual. The claim has been submitted to your insurance carrier, SDRMA, for their evaluation, and they are recommending that the district reject the claim. And by doing so, then the claim then is forwarded back to SDRMA, who will then determine whether or not to pay for this claim or not. And so it's a ministerial action on the part of the board, which is under state law, is required for you to reject it in order for the SDRMA to proceed with its findings and conclusions. So I would ask that you adopt resolution number 12-12-1101, rejection of claim.
All right, Ms. Deering, would you like to administer the roll call?
Director Casey?
Aye.
Director Kaler?
Aye.
Director Maynard?
Aye.
Director Rips?
Aye.
President Coletta?
Aye. So we have approval of the resolution number 12-12-11-01. All right, that concludes this matter. Now may we move Mr. Tabaoda to H1?
Mr. President, members of the board, after an exhaustive recruitment process and a vetting of applicants for the position of District General Manager, the board has concluded that it is ready to appoint and select Ms. Christine Montana as your new General Manager effective January 2nd, 2013. The board went through, and I say, a very rigorous process to arrive at this decision. I'm quite pleased with the selection that this board has made, and I think Ms. Montana is going to do a terrific job for the district, and I look forward to working with her for the transition period, and as long as the board plans to keep me on as your external affairs consultant. So I'm asking that the board approves the appointment and the employment of Ms. Christine Montana as your district general manager.
All right. Does anyone wish to have any discussion before we do this? Nope.
Nothing further.
Okay. Well, we have a contract before us that requires our approval, and also it requires us, if we do agree to approve the contract, then to make the appointment. So let's take the motion in two parts. One, all in favor of approving the contract, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. Contract's approved. Now, may I have a motion to make the appointment of Chris Montana to the manager of the Rossmoor Community Services District?
I'd like to make that motion that we appoint her to the position.
Second.
All right.
Take that, Casey.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. Congratulations, Ms. Montana.
I was gonna make a-
Mr. President, Ms. Montana is in the audience, and perhaps you'd like to introduce her to the community.
Why don't you approach the podium, let everyone see you.
Okay, comfortable.
We are pleased to have you a part of this community, Ms. Montana. I think it is the understatement that we vetted seriously. We really looked, and you rose above and beyond many experienced men and women who were very well qualified. I'm speaking for myself. I'm sure all of my colleagues will have their own comments in a moment, but you did stand out, and I really kept an open mind. And as I reflected your performance during the first interview with that of others that were very well qualified, years of experience, in fact, more than you had, after reflecting on it and keeping an open mind, I came back to one conclusion, that you were really the best suited person for this community and for this agency, given the responsibilities and the uniqueness of it. Given the fact that you're also a certified public accountant and an active one, and do serve, to some extent have served other agencies, you do appreciate the special services districts and the uniqueness that they are, what they bring, and given that you're so close, given your residence to this community, I think you're going to exude an understanding as if you resided here as you apply yourself in the day-to-day affairs of the district. I'm confident of that. And the other good thing is you have Mr. Tabaoda to lean on. He's got probably 40-plus years.
I think it was 57, he said.
57 years.
Who's counting?
60 years, 100 years.
Large number.
A long time. To help you, to shape you, to temper you, to make you shine even more. We all learn from each other. I learn from people all the time, and I think that we're never at a point where there's nothing not to learn. There's always a different way of doing something, or a different approach, or a different way of expressing something, and I know Henry's going to give you a lot of gems that he's polished and earned over the years, the wisdom that he's acquired in working for a very large city, a smaller city neighboring across the street from us, and then jumping here. Henry was highly sought after before we brought him in, and really needed. And he took this organization, which needed assistance, and took his managerial skills, which were well above the district at the time, and took it and made it into something that it is, and it really does shine today. And I think that you will be able to benefit from all that, and hopefully you'll bring some of your own ideas, and you can improve it a little bit better. There's always room for improvement. So I'm thankful you're here, and I'm thankful for having Henry available to help you and get you started.
And I'd also like to thank you for selecting me. I'm truly honored that you selected me as the new general manager of the Rossmoor Community Services District. I think Rossmoor is exemplary in its residents' dedication to creating an ideal community, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that. And I'm looking forward to a productive year. So thank you again.
Thank you for being a part of us. All right, I've signed the contract, so we have a new manager. So if you'd like to have a seat next to Mr. Tabaoda, we have reserved a special part of the evening towards the end, Mr. Tabaoda. And Henry, why don't you join me at the podium? We have a proclamation for you. But I'm going to read for the record what it states. It's a proclamation from the Rossmoor Community Services District, captioned Proclamation. A proclamation of the Board of Directors of the Rossmoor Community Services District expressing gratitude to Henry Tabaoda for time served as General Manager of the Rossmoor Community Services District. Whereas Henry Tabaoda was instrumental in promoting a safe and healthy environment which has enabled the community of Rossmoor to flourish, and whereas the community has directly benefited from both programmatic and physical improvements to their governance, infrastructure, outdoor recreational facilities, and whereas Henry Tabaoda's vision, sound judgment, fiscal responsibility, and thoughtful consideration of the matters brought before him have resulted in decisions made for the betterment of the present community as well as those who will reside in Rossmoor in the future, and whereas Rossmoor is a better place of having had Henry as a dynamic leader whose knowledge and experience helped to preserve the special district of Rossmoor. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Rossmoor Community Services District does hereby recognize and commend Henry Tabaoda for his years of dedicated leadership and faithful service to the community of Rossmoor, California. And it's executed December 11th, the year 2012.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Proclamation. Henry, as I said truly a moment ago, I really felt every bit of it. You have been a great asset to the community, and you have made a diamond in the rough in some respects, a real polished gem. It's always been a beautiful community. It's had some wonderful managers in the past, but the expertise and the level of expertise that you brought to the table, in my opinion, has far exceeded what I've personally experienced. I've had the pleasure now of 10 years this month to serve here. I've got 2 more years on my term, and I've had the opportunity to work with 2 former managers, and they were both good people, but your skill set far surpasses, at least in my years of serving the community, with an expertise that is really appreciated. And I hope that Ms. Montana will take advantage of all that opportunity and all that wisdom you bring to the table to help her grow and to shine and continue the good stewardship of our community. So on behalf of myself, I'm real thankful. It's been a pleasure working with you. You taught me a lot. And you've been a good friend as well. So I thank you.
Thank you, sir. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. I really wasn't expecting this. I've been here for such a long time, I feel like I'm just part of you, and that as people move on, other people come and take their place, and you know, there's usually not a lot of fanfare that goes with that, but this is really appreciated. I've got to tell you that it makes all the 6.5, almost 7 years worthwhile, because you give me the opportunity to just maintain my skill set and to not just become a couch potato. You know, I come to work, and every day I come with enthusiasm and a feeling of today's a good day and let's make good things happen. I wasn't prepared to do this at this time because I wanted to cover some of this during general manager comments, but I guess I'm going to have to start with, first of all, none of what you've given me credit for would be possible without first a great staff. You are blessed to have the people that work for you and who do the day-to-day work that makes this district what it is and this community what it is. And these folks come to work every day and they labor and they do what is necessary without being asked, often just because it's the right thing to do. And so I'd like my staff to stand and be acknowledged, those that are here. Second, you give me too much credit because all a general manager does is carry out the policies and the direction of the board of directors. And if you don't have a good board, no matter how good a general manager or whatever kind of manager you are, you do not get much done. It is a collaborative effort that requires the board to basically dictate and decide what's best in their eyes for this community. And I've got to tell you that I've served now for 6.5 years, and I've seen board members come and go. And so my thanks has to go to that first board that appointed me and to this board who's bidding me farewell, and everyone in between. Because, you know, as you pointed out to Ms. Montana, we don't always agree on everything, but you typically have to come to some consensus on what's best and what for the community and for the people you serve. So my thanks to you as a board, and I'm really appreciative of what you've given to me here. I also want to thank the residents of Rossmoor. It's a unique community. If I didn't live where I live now and wasn't settled in there, I'd be living here in a heartbeat. Many, many people have asked me, aren't you going to move to Rossmoor? And if I didn't live near the beach, I probably would, because it really is a treasure. I call it an oasis in a sea of urban sprawl. You know, once you cross the gates, or what would be gates, the signature wall, and you enter this community, you become aware that you're in a different place. It invigorates and refreshes me every time I come through the entrances to Rossmoor. And I really feel that this is a gem. This is something that needs to be cherished and nourished, and is really something to be proud of. It's no coincidence that this community was gauged to be one of the top communities in the country, and certainly the top community in the state of California. Recognized as a jewel in the state and the nation. Those recognitions don't come easily. They're earned. And every day, this community and its residents earn that recognition by the way in which they maintain their homes, the way in which they participate with community affairs, the way in which, you know, they guide their children as they grow up and become, many of them, new residents of this community. I also need to acknowledge my wife of 27 years, Julie Tabaoda. Oh man, she has suffered with me for 27 of those years as a public administrator. First with the city of Long Beach, then with the city of Los Alamitos, and now with the Rossmoor Community Services District. And I've got to tell you that if you don't have a home as a refuge where you can get away from the trials and travails of everyday life, you will not succeed. And Julie's in the back of the room. She's very shy, but I would like you to acknowledge Julie Tabaoda.
Julie, why don't you come up for a moment? No?
One other acknowledgement, and that is the people who volunteer and do work for this community, people like Don Brune, who without them we couldn't conduct these board meetings, and many others who give of their time and energy on a voluntary basis to make this a better community. I am blessed and I am honored to have served you, and I hope to continue to serve you in a different capacity. I told Chris, I'm going to be your wingman. And as long as you need me, and as long as she wants me around and I can be of service, I'll be your external affairs consultant, and hopefully we can make more magic together. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, Mr. Tabaoda, we are general manager items, and
I have
do you have any
one,
items?
Sir, I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I wish to, it's at your dais, but I want to present you with my final budget for the fiscal year 2012-2013 as amended by the audit process that we went through. And it is reflective of what I consider to be a well-managed, well-governed district. While others around us are having fiscal difficulties and trying to survive, this community and this district is blessed to have a balanced budget, adequate reserves, a robust program of activities, and I'm going to take this with me as a reminder of just how much this district has grown and what it represents. And that's it. That's all I have, sir.
Okay. Board member items.
I have a couple things. First, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, Gary Miller, the mayor of Seal Beach, has been elected to serve on the Orange County Traffic Association Board of Directors. And that was 2 or 3 weeks ago that was announced. And he, when he had the press release, it stated that he would be serving the communities, and they called them the cities of Seal Beach, Los Alamitos, Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, et cetera, and basically no mention was made of the community of Rossmoor. But I'm thinking that since our two communities, both Rossmoor and Seal Beach, have some common traffic issues, that he will be a very good advocate as we move forward in terms of what is going on with the expansion project and other issues. So I think that is a very important election in terms of hopefully benefiting us. I'm hoping I will be able to somehow work with him in some manner as we go forward. And I think it's especially important since they had a public member that was recently appointed to the board, and I was thinking that we could get somebody like that would be somewhat aligned with Rossmoor. And as it turns out, they took the current incumbent, Gregory Winterbottom, I believe his name is,
Right.
and he was reappointed to the same position. And I think his specialty is in serving the needs of disabled persons, which is obviously very important. But that doesn't, I don't think that lines up as well in terms of somebody that will help our needs. So I think it's doubly important that Gary has a new position. And next,
Director Casey, if I could just respond to that.
sure.
The reason that Rossmoor is not mentioned as a city
We're not a city?
that's not represented by Mr. Miller is that technically we as an unincorporated community are represented by Supervisor Morlock.
Well, I'm well aware of that.
Well, but I want the community, I want the community to understand that in fact is the case. And you will recall that when this board voted to oppose alternate 2 and 3, that he chose to recommend alternate 2. So he was not in lockstep with this community, at least with regard to his preferences with regard to the expansion of the I-405 project.
No, that's correct, yes.
Yeah,
we have quite a history in that regard.
We do, but I think we need to continuously reinforce that because people continuously ask us, what are we doing and why aren't we doing more? Well, we're kind of at a disadvantage when we don't have a seat at the table. And so we'll be coming to you, Chris and I will be coming to you at a later date with perhaps some ideas on how we might get a seat at the table.
Right, we've already talked about some of those ideas, but I just wanted to bring up another connection that might be beneficial to us.
I just want to take advantage of the fact that we have a forum here where we can continue to inform the public about why it is and why it isn't.
Okay, exactly, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, and next, since a certain assemblyman, Mr. Troy Edgar, did not get the state assembly position that he ran for office, he is back as the mayor of Los Alamitos. I won't say back, he's just resuming his responsibilities. And one of the comments he has allegedly made in that position was that the fourth corner of Rossmoor is, I think he made the comment, it's back in play.
That's what he said.
So it's, I think it's quite appropriate that we now have some monuments or new signage at 3 different spots that shows a strong alliance between the owners of the businesses in the shopping center and the signage on there saying that this represents our business structure. So I'm thinking he's fighting a losing cause on that, but so be it. And next, I just want to thank you for having had the opportunity for the last 4 years of your leadership and the association of working with you on a lot of Rossmoor issues. And you've always been extremely easy to work with. I don't have nearly the experience that you do, and yet you are always willing to listen to any of my ideas, even though some of them may not have measured up necessarily to certain standards, but you'd always listen, explain why they might work or they might not work. And I felt that I learned a lot from that, and it was built, I think, kind of a strong rapport in terms of understanding you and how you think, and maybe getting hopefully a few things accomplished. So I just want to say it's been a very great pleasure to have worked with you for these last 4 years.
Thank you. I think we both learned.
Yeah, I hope so. And lastly, I just want to wish everybody in the Rossmoor community a very happy and healthy holiday season and an exemplary new year, and try to be safe during all the holiday parties over the next several weeks. And that's all I have.
I'm just got a few items. First of all, I just want to extend my congratulations to the newly appointed board members for your outstanding campaigns that you guys ran, and the fact that you saved the district $11,000. Thank you very much. That's outstanding. Henry, I want to thank you for I've worked with you for many years, and you've done a fantastic job. I mean, forget the fact that you have, decades of experience. What I really enjoyed about you is the fact that you were able to provide guidance when necessary. You're able to be very level-headed, able to draw on a ton of experiences, and just really to bring a very salient viewpoint to practically any discussion that I was involved with, and I really, really enjoyed that, and I look forward to working with you in your new role. So thank you so much for all of your work.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Montana, welcome. I'm excited to have you aboard leading. I'm excited about your credentials, and you have some very big shoes to fill. So please, I urge you to utilize him as much as possible in your new role. I want to thank the community for your support this past year, and especially for your passion on your issues that concern you, be it crime or budgets or trees or whatever. We need, we're just your voice, and unless we hear from you, it's hard for us to understand what are the hot points. And so even though we may not agree or we may not respond, we may not get back to you as fast as you want, we do hear you and we do listen, and it is important. So thank you for coming and attending these meetings and sending emails and calling us, because it's really, really important that we all work as a big team. So thank you. Again, everybody have a safe, happy and safe holiday season, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah or Ramadan or whatever else you celebrate. Thank you to the staff for a great 2012, family, friends, community, etc. And I will see you all in 2013.
I also obviously would like to thank you, Henry. Being the newer person on the board, you brought me into the fold real quick. You answered a lot of crazy questions that would come off of my mind from time to time. It has definitely been a pleasure, and I look forward to the next steps as we move forward with other issues. Chris, we have every confidence that you're going to do a great job. Henry's here to help with the transition. I think you're going to start off running. And one of the things that we brought up at last meeting, especially with the crime, is one of the projects is looking into surveillance cameras. So I would ask that you put that towards the top of your list. Every tool that we can give our sheriffs to nail people who do stupid and criminal acts, we've got to help them with. I too want to welcome everybody and have a very safe holiday. For those who share my faith, have a Merry Christmas. Lastly, tomorrow is my birthday, and I am asking for gifts. And the gifts that you all can give me, no, I'm going to ask. Please slow down. I'm amazed that we all live in this community and we all put our lead foot on the gas, and I'm always amazed. I've even called up a neighbor who's one of my best friends. I go, what are you thinking? I saw you driving, just chill out. And a lot of times it's unawareness, or you start thinking about your day when you get in your car. But please, everyone, slow down. We've got lots of kids in our neighborhood. We've got pets that run outdoors. Just remember, we all live in the same community. Be kind to each other, love each other during the holidays, and just slow down that car and pay attention. Thanks.
Very good. I remember going through the stack of resumes that were forwarded to us, and Chris, there was something about yours that really, it stood out, and there was a spark there that very much intrigued me. And it was a very pleasure for me to see that spark when we did our rounds of interviews. And I share the sentiment of my colleagues here that I'm very excited that you're with us, and I am looking forward to your tenure with us. And so welcome to our community, and hopefully it'll be a very long and profitable relationship for all of us. Henry, for me, there is one clear benchmark on how to appraise somebody's performance in a position, and it's if they're leaving where they were better than where it was when they came. And there is really no words for me to articulate how much difference our community is and how much better our community is now for having you at the leadership for us and all that you've accomplished. So all I can really say is thank you for all you've done for the community and the guidance you've given me over the last several years. It's been a real pleasure to work with you and learn from you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Also for everybody else, I do want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. And tomorrow is not my birthday, but I would like for you to give him as many gifts as you possibly can and slow down, tell your friends to slow down. I think that would be an amazing holiday gift for our fellow Rossmoorians. So thank you.
Mary, I have something that if you could take into consideration. In my walk in the past few weeks, I encountered someone cutting down their parkway tree to a stub, and it caught me off guard, but I was also surprised at the umbrage of doing it during the broad daylight on a weekend. Yes. I'm wondering if this happens other places. I would hope not, but I wanted to just bring it to your attention, but to the community as well. There's a process to take a tree out, and I don't believe that tree qualified given the manner in which it was approached. So with that, I'm glad you're aware of it, and I'd like just to let the community aware that we do have a new person who's taken over Randy Reynolds' position, and Mary is very vigilant and she's aware of it, and we do relish our trees, and they are what make this community a signature community. We are a arborist city, a tree city, and so I'm thankful that we do have pride in our urban forest. Other than that, I have nothing, and I look forward to the new year, working with the manager and with our consultant aiding the manager and getting the new year off to a good start. And I too want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas during this season. With that, I entertain a motion to...
I move. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
What's
I make that motion.
What was that?
Let's go to the bathroom.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
He's back. He's good.